Hello friends, welcome back. My name is Mohsin Mullah and we are looking at lecture number 2 of engineering economics, and in this video lecture we are going to see about micro and macroeconomics in detail. So here the subject matter is micro and macroeconomics. So the study of economics is divided by the modern economist into two parts, namely microeconomics and macroeconomics. Okay, so overall economics is divided into two parts, microeconomics and macroeconomics. So an economic system may be looked at as a whole or in terms of its innumerable decision making units, such as consuming units. Okay, so number of decision making units such as consuming units, consuming units in that individual consumers, households, individual consumers, households, etc. Then producing units, in producing units we can talk about firms, farms, businesses, etc. Individual factors of production, individual factors of production. So in that we can consider laborer, landowners, capitalists, capitalists, entrepreneur, etc. Okay, and finally individual industries such as textile industry, iron steel industry, etc. or toy making. Okay, so here different decision making units are being considered in case of microeconomics. So right now we are talking about the microeconomics. So those individual units might be consumer units, producing units, individual factors of production, or individual industries. So the examples are also being listed here. Okay, so when we are analyzing the problems of the economy as a whole, it is macroeconomic study. And when we are analyzing the problem, okay, so problem of the economy as a whole, so then it will become the macroeconomy. So when we are analyzing the problem at the consuming units level, then it is macroeconomic. When we are analyzing the problem at the producing units level, then it is microeconomic. When we are analyzing it at individual production level, then it is micro. Even at the industry level it is micro, but when all together it is considered, then it will become macro. Okay, individual level it is micro, then all together when we are dealing with the problems of the entire units all together, then it is called as the macro units. Okay, so while analyzing analysis of the behavior of any particular decision making unit such as firm, industry or consumer constitutes to microeconomic. So whatever problems we are analyzing at this individual level, so then it is going to be microeconomic. When we are analyzing the problems at the this entire all the sectors together, then it is macroeconomic. So microeconomics is also called as price theory. Microeconomics is also called price theory, and macroeconomics is called as income theory. Price theory means it explains the composition or allocation of total production. It explains composition and allocation of total production. What are the various products and who are all going to consume? So that is called as composition and allocation of total products. Here also sometimes it needs to be considered why some of the products needs to be produced in the larger quantities than the some other projects, while income theory explains the level of total production. Okay, so income theory, which is nothing but the macroeconomic theory, it explains about the total production. It does not bother about the what is the composition of the products and what is the allocation of the product. It just talks about what is the level of production, whether the level is needs to be raised or the level needs to be decreased. Overall it looks at in that way. It doesn't bother whether one product is produced in the larger quantity or the smaller quantity. It just bothers about the overall production level. So that is called as the macroeconomic level. Okay, so I hope you are able to understand the basic difference between the microeconomic or price theory and macroeconomic. Okay, so which is nothing but the production levels. I'll just write here. So macroeconomic is nothing but the production level economics. Income theory. Okay, so it talks about the total production, or I'll just write it as production level. So you'll understand whether the production level is higher or whether the production level is lower, or whether the production needs to be increased or whether the overall production needs to be decreased. It deals about that. Okay, so that is about the basic definition, or you can say basic difference between the micro and the macroeconomics. I hope you are all able to understand that. Okay, so now let us try to go in deep about the microeconomics. Okay, so now the word micro means a millionth part. Okay, so in 1 millionth part. So when we speak of microeconomics or the micro approach, what we mean is that it is some small part or component of the whole economy that we are analyzing. It is a small part or component of whole economy. Suppose there is a total economy here. Then in this economy, so there is a small different parts are there. Okay, so this is nothing but the microeconomy. Okay, altogether it can be economy or macroeconomy. So it is some small part or component of the whole economy that we are analyzing. For example, we may be studying an individual consumer's behavior or that of an individual firm, or what happened in a particular industry. If it is be an analysis or price in microeconomics, what we study is the price of a particular product or of a particular factor of production, and not the general price level in the country. So it is only targeted to that particular individual or industry or a factory. So what is the product being produced, with the cost of that, pricing of the product, Okay, so it does not matter in the other state what is the price of that of the same product. Okay, it doesn't make any difference at the national level. So it is just at the individual level that we are going to analyze. Means we are going to analyze the economics of a only one single industry. So for example, one bulb producing industry is there at a particular location. So we are going to talk about only, we are going to analyze about only about the various aspects how the pricing can be decided in that particular factory. It is not required to be compared at the different factory at different location. Okay, so here similarly, similarly if it is to be, if it is be a demand that we are analyzing in microeconomics, it is the demand of an individual or that of an industry that is studied, and not the aggregate demand of the entire community. It is either the demand of an individual or demand of an industry that is being studied, and it is not the aggregate or demand of the entire community. Likewise, the income of an individual or an of an industry and not the national income of a country, it comes within the purview of microeconomics. Individual income, individual demand, industry income. Okay, analysis of the individual economy, analysis of the industry, particular factory or industry. So, and not at the national level but at the individual level is nothing but the microeconomics. Okay, so here let us try to write the definition of the microeconomics. Microeconomics is microeconomics, or I will just write it as microeconomic theory. Microeconomic theory studies the behavior of individual decision making units, such as consumers, resource owners, and business firms. And business firms. Okay, and in the circular flow of the economic activity in the community, microeconomics studies the flow of economic resources or factors of production from the resource owners to business firms, and the flow of goods and services from the business firms to households. It studies the composition of such flows and how the prices of goods and services in the flow are determined. Okay, so it basically, what does it do? So in the circular flow of economic activities in the community, microeconomics studies the flow of economic resources or factors of production from the resource owners to the business firms, and the flow of goods and services from the business firms to the households. It studies the composition of such flows and how the prices of goods and services in the flow are determined. Okay, so basically it is to determine the prices of the goods and services. Finally, the main goal of this is to study the, or to determine the prices of the goods and services. Goods and services in the flow are determined in the flow of economic activity are determined through this microeconomic. Okay, and a very important feature of microeconomic approach is that while conducting economic analysis on a micro basis, generally an assumption of full employment in the economy as a whole is made. On that assumption, the economic problem is mainly that of resource allocation or of theory of price. That is why till recently, economics concerned itself mainly with the theory of value and distribution and ignored the study of the economic system as a whole. So here, what is the important feature of this particular microeconomic theory or microeconomic approach is that, so while conducting the economic analysis on a micro basis, generally an assumption is made. That assumption is that there is a full employment. Okay, so assumption is there is full employment because it doesn't bother about the other sector or other firm or other people, nothing. So it just concentrates on particular unit. Therefore it assumes that um, there is a full employment, which is not true. Therefore macroeconomic comes into picture, which will take into consideration all the different sectors, all the individuals, all the various industries, all the various businesses, business firms together. So one is making loss, another one is making profit, so it is going to make the average. But microeconomic, it is going to study the individual at the individual level without bothering about the other particular sectors or industries, you can say studies or analysis. Okay, so that is about the microeconomics. Okay, so I hope you are able to understand the content of this particular lecture. So here what we try to understand is that what is basic difference between the micro and macroeconomics. Okay, and also we try to give some logical definition to the microeconomic, and then we try to understand what exactly is being achieved through the microeconomic study. So here finally the prices of the goods and services in the flow of economic activity are being determined through the microeconomic. But what is the problem with this microeconomic? So microeconomic assumes that there is a full employment, which is not always true. Okay, so in the next video lecture we are going to concentrate more on the macroeconomics, and there we are going to see the various aspects of the macroeconomic, and also we are going to see the definition and what are the various features of the macroeconomic. Okay, so I hope you have understood the concept here, and you will join the next video lecture. Till then, happy learning. Okay, thank you.